Pacers lose to the previously winless Nets. The Pacers have the worst record in the NBA. What on earth went wrong in this game? How can they play better? There were some bright spots. Cody Martin's on the Pacers now. A lot to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today, oh boy, Nets in town. The only team without a win in the NBA. Pacers have a chance to beat a team they're favored against for once. Their easiest game of their first 10. And they lose, and they can't even take a lead in the fourth quarter. They keep it close-ish. They got it within 5, within a possession, but cannot get it done despite a great second quarter scoring, some great performances from some players who needed to really break out, and some who were on the team for 10 days. Still not enough to beat the Nets. What went wrong for the Pacers in their avalanche of little things loss? What can they do to be better? Am I not giving enough credit to injuries for the Pacers' struggles? Credit may be the wrong word there. And Cody Martin is on the Pacers now. Why did they pick Cody Martin? Plus some bright spots from this game. But oh boy, I just spent the whole first segment Monday talking about how painful and frustrating this must be if you're a Pacers player. The whiplash from last year's highs to this year's lows. And you know why. You know it's all the injuries. But you also feel like if you're on the team, you've been so close every game that you can do it, right? You feel like you can win, and then you can't, and you haven't been able to. Well, now you stare in the face that the only team that couldn't win was the Brooklyn Nets. Cam Thomas, a starter for them, gets injured mid-game, and they still could not win. Michael Porter Jr. with the 32-point double-double. Tyrese Martin destroyed them. Terrence Mann played with some aggression. Nick Claxton was getting to the basket. Noah Clowney got warm, and they can't beat the Nets. They lose to the Brooklyn Nets. The NBA standings right now, there are 3 teams with 1 win. The Indiana Pacers are one of them. They are tied with the Nets, who just beat them, and the Wizards for the worst record in the NBA. They have lost to the 2-6 Mavericks, who have the worst record in the West, and they have lost the 1-7 Nets, who have tied for the worst record in the East. Pacers are very bad right now. They're just bad. And this game showed why, in some ways, that they're going to be bad. They have just no margin for error, and I've talked about that a lot, and they beat the Warriors because they overcame some of that with better shooting and finally a good game from a guard. And in this game, you look back at the box score and you wonder, how does this happen, right? Because, look, they shot 41%. That's not good. In fact, I tweeted this. I keep talking about how poor the Pacers shot making is. And I every stat just feels more ridiculous. Obviously, comparing the team to last year's team is crazy because of how much better that team was. But 6 times last year, the Pacers shot under 42% in a game. Tonight, the 8th game was the Pacers' 4th time already doing it this year. But yet, they shot almost the same percentage as the Nets. 35% from deep for the Nets, 36% for the Pacers. They were 1 apart in threes, right? The Pacers made 5 more shots than the Nets. The turnover battle was 16-12 in favor of the Nets. That's too many for the Pacers, but the rebounding battle was 56-45 in favor of the Pacers. They got boards. They won the possession battle. It's part of how they were able to make more shots. The difference in this one was free throws, of which the Nets took way more, and every other stat was basically extremely similar or in favor of the Pacers. The fouling we'll get to in a second, but on balance, a box score that's very even, a back and forth game. 10 times tied, 12 lead changes. Pacers were up 8 at one point. The Pacers can win a game like that. They just simply can. And yet you foul a couple times too much, and you have a couple guys with off nights. Jarris Walker took some god-awful fadeaway 2s over and over again. He couldn't make very much. Aaron Nesmith goes 6 for 17 and misses a free throw. Aaron Nesmith, by the way, another Pacers crazy shooting stat, has already missed more free throws this season than he did all of last season. And so despite some good games from their players, they didn't have enough. They did not have enough. And I consider this a little things loss for those very reasons, where the box score outside of free throws looks incredibly even. Some of the game summary stats look very even, right? Their big lead is about the same. Fast break points is apart by 3. Bench points is apart by 3. Turnovers is close-ish. Rebounding was actually in favor of the Pacers. I could keep going if you want to totally get the gist. The Pacers win the second chance point. They win the fast break points. They win the points in the paint. I could go on and on. Free throws were the real, serious difference. 26 of 35 from the line, where the Nets who actually took more threes as well. 8 for 13 were the Pacers. Pascal Siakam with 4 of those 5 misses, a dreadful part of his season. 23 fouls to 17. What that tells me is the Nets were fouling not on shots and the Pacers were fouling on shots. That's a big thing. And that was the biggest thing that did not go the Pacers' way, is they've just been so handsy. And like I was at the game, like I did not feel like at any moment like that was not a foul or that was a foul. Like there's like obviously 1 or 2 plays every game you could disagree with. But like no one is talking about the refs being the reason the Pacers lost this game. Like they just were a little worse than they needed to be in so many areas of the game. They needed their best shooters to make more jumpers. Aaron Nesmith goes 3 for 9 from deep. Jarris Walker missed his only attempt. They finally got J Huff making them, but not enough, right? Just not enough. They needed to be better getting toward the rim, pop and passing. 29 assists looks good, but they weren't quite driving enough to make the Nets defense rotate or create enough easy shots for them to draw fouls. So they only took 13 free throws. They needed to really, really take care of the ball. 16 turnovers. And oh my gosh, were some of their third quarter turnovers just ugly, ugly, ugly plays, like dribbling once to the right, looking for an open teammate and just throwing it right to a Nets player. A miserable toss out of bounds, an off the foot, easy steal. And the Nets had their fair share of turnovers as well. 7 of the 16 from Siakam, 12 of the 16 from Nesmith Jackson Siakam. Like those are starters. They just have to be better taking care of the ball. 36 minutes for Siakam, 23 and 9 in a loss. Like what it's not what you want to be putting on him in a season like this. So you could go all day and go, wow, this box score is so even. That's when the little things matter the most. In a game like that, you have to be accurate from the foul line. You have to take care of the ball to the highest degree. You have to not make stupid fouls. Those are the ones that Carlisle criticized when I asked him after the game, because he pointed to the box score and said, oh, free throws were the difference in this game. And I asked him about the fouls that, he didn't like. And you don't like any of the fouls, to be clear, as a coach. But like, in a game like this, those ones are the ones that bother him the most when it's just painful. I'm trying to view the transcript of postgame to give you the exact answer, but they needed to be better in so many ways. The ones we need to avoid are there's a lack of concentration and the touch fouls where you're in position, you reach in necessarily. Pascal Siakam had a terrible kind of reach in touch foul like that. Isaiah Jackson's been bad about that all season. He had some that he did not like in this game, though. He had one foul that I thought was wrong, for example, but there weren't very many. I'm not even making this a ref thing. It's just those little differences matter so much. And then also shot selection, right? Jarris Walker takes 10 twos and makes 3 of them in this game. How many fadeaways in the lane did he take that I just felt like wasn't a good shot? Work for a little better one. Like he actually did okay at a lot of other stuff in this game, but his shot selection was not very good. They took some threes. Didn't feel very good. Isaiah Jackson looked off a guard, drove coast to coast and traveled, right? Like that one possession is just one possession, but it matters. And like, if you're one of those players, you might feel like I'm picking on you for picking that possession and not a different one. But a lot of guys had, a wasteful possession or a shot that was bad or a turnover that was stupid, whatever you want to say. But like they're in all these games. This is their 6th game out of 8 that's gone to crunch time. That's been registered as a clutch game. Now, that's not the perfect description of this, because if you're coming from behind, yes, it was a clutch game, but like you may not have actually had a chance to win. The Pacers got this one to crunch time because technically it was a 5-point game in the final minutes when it was 107-103, and then Michael Porter dunked 9 seconds later, and it was 101-96, and then Noah Clowney got to the free throw line 14 seconds later. Like the Pacers never had the ball down 3. I think they had the ball down 5 was the closest it was in the fourth quarter. So yes, that's a clutch game, but you never really had like a 50-50 chance to win it. Regardless, it was that close. And there were quarters where the Pacers offense looked really good. The second quarter box score of this game is going to look like what the Pacers hoped it would look like through all their injuries this season. And what I mean by that is it's going to take a team effort, guys stepping up in different roles, things of that nature. Let me tell you about the second quarter box score. This is going to step on the toes of a little bit of stuff I'm going to talk about later. Second quarter box score. Pacers scored 41. Jay Huff with 8 points, 2 boards, 2 blocks. Ben Shepherd, 10 points, 2 assists. He was 4 for 5 from the field. 5 points for Siakam, 4 for Isaiah Jackson, 5 for Aaron Nesmith, 5 for Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who was very good in this game. Very good in this game. 10 assists. The whole crew moving it and scoring it. Like, that's what you hope this can look like for the Pacers in a quarter like that. And we go, that's what I've been saying when it's not about injuries. I know that this team has a higher level in them, but they can't hit it for a myriad of reasons. They cannot hit it, and they did not in this game. The Nets had not won a game yet. The Nets have now won a game. The Nets, by virtue of the tiebreaker, are ahead, air quotes, of the Pacers in the standings. It is the Pacers and the Wizards at the bottom of the league at 1-7. They've got to find a way to be better. And I know that there's already people who are looking at the draft and tweeting clips of the guys and all that stuff. And like, that's lame. First of all, it's been 8 games. I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. It's just like, that is, the Pacers thought they'd be better than this. And this has to be so frustrating for all of them to know exactly why they can't win. And the whiplash of how much last year's highs are hit by these lows. They know they can win, but they haven't been able to. And now they have a 4-game road trip against 2 really good opponents and 2 pretty good ones. Who knows when their next win will come? They already beat Golden State once. Maybe it's that one, right? Utah and Phoenix are like okay teams, but they've got to find a way to play better. They've got to make some shots. Guys who can make the shots they're taking specifically have to make shots. Rick Carlisle said pregame he thinks a shot-making game is coming at some point. Some guys made them in this game. Some guys did not. The Pacers have a lot of work to do. I want to talk about a thought I had during this game about injuries, what Carlisle said about the lack of point guard, and I want to mention something about Ray J. Dennis. Cody Martin's on the team, and then some positives. There were, in fact, some positives from a 103-point effort loss to the Nets. We'll get to all those coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I need to tell you about Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in. It takes the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Their automated tools like office letters and onboarding materials and direct deposit save hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. You'll get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time. That's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen to Dan every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Nets. Eric Slater doing a good job covering a team that is more focused on development than winning, but they have a win. This is a stupid thing that you listening don't care about if you're specifically a fan of the Pacers, but I hate every year when there's like one team that's 0-9 or 0-10 and it becomes a thing like, ooh, when are they going to win? I'm glad that's not a thing this year. The Pelicans won. The Nets have won. Every team has a win. But the Pacers have the fewest of them at 1-7. Okay, so I had this thought today. And specifically during this game, I've said, obviously injuries are a major part of the Pacers' struggles. No one is denying that. I'm not denying that. I think there are other factors that I have gone long on, including yesterday, talking about their offensive struggles and talked in somewhat or a lot of detail about, right? But injury is certainly a factor among many things, right? Last season, the Pacers started very poorly. They were 10-15. They were 9-14 before that. They were losing to the Hornets and the Nets, ironically, and some other crummy teams. And there was just a lot of discussion then about Tyrese Haliburton and his struggles. But a subplot was they were also hurt then, right? Ben Shepherd was out. Andrew Nembhard was out. Aaron Nesmith was out. I'm missing some other. They had like no centers. It was just Miles, right? You all remember it. They were really hurt and they were making moves at center. And I'm not comparing the seasons specifically, to be clear. I am generally talking about the injuries the Pacers were dealing with last year where Quentin Jackson was starting and all this stuff, right? And I kept saying back then, despite me being, relatively high on a lot of the Pacers players and thinking they'd win 40 games this year, that I felt like injuries then I said the same thing, were not the reason they were losing back then either. I was like, yeah, look, I get that all these guys are out that I think are good, but I still think they have enough to be winning. And lo and behold, a couple things happened. They started to play a little better, but as soon as Nembhard and Shepherd came back, they started to win games. And every year, Rick Carlisle tells us, and he's right, he's the coach, he knows the team better than literally anyone on the planet, this is an ecosystem team. Everybody plays their part and does their thing, and that's what makes them so great. And obviously, they have their star players that make it all possible. And so part of me wonders if, once again, I'm doing the same thing I was doing last year. I can dive into the numbers, I can watch the games, I can tell you about the team's play style, I can see things that I'm watching and go, yeah, these guys can play better than they are. I can see it. They've done it this season against Golden State in Memphis. And sometimes they had other players available, but still, they've shown higher highs than they showed in the fourth quarter today and this stretch and that stretch, whatever. I know that these players can be better than this. At the same time, I remember last year when I was saying the same things, and then immediately in mid-December, I was like, well, they're healthy and they're good again, right? And then when they got healthy, every time I'd talk to somebody else on a podcast about the Pacers or whatever, people would be like, oh, why are they better? Is it just their health? And I'd be like, well, kind of, but also this other stuff, and Haliburton was a big part of it. And Haliburton makes just all different. He's not available this time. But I wanted to talk about that and say that because it's possible. And I got some comments yesterday that were like, dude, why are you wasting your time talking about how much they're passing and their assist numbers and all this stuff? It's very obvious. They're unhealthy. And like, that's true. They are. I know that's a big part of it. It's just, it feels like they should be better than this. I asked Rick about, they scored 103 in this game. They're 28th in offensive rating right now. And again, I thought they'd be a better defensive team than offensive, but not like this, not where they're just dreadful on offense. Rick said the lack of play at point is really a factor, right? All the shots they're getting, like Shepard played very well in this game, even at point guard. Maybe his best game at point guard, but like Carlisle said that one, they don't have a point. They have Ray J. Dennis. We'll get to him in a second. And he said, and people are playing out of positions, right? And so they've got to get over that stuff. And like, that's all true. And that's what and Shepard even talked about after this game, him playing at a position, right? A lot of people are. Jay Huff plays the 4, and Jay Huff was good in this game. Jay Huff played the 4 at one point. Shepard's playing point guard. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is closing at the 5. Like Taylor Peters playing point guard. You all see it. You all see the game. So I think that is like the crux of the injury stuff is 2 things. Their point guards aren't point guards. So even in a game like this where they have 29 assists, because the thesis I have and the one that players have said to me is that their system is their point guard right now. They're relying on everybody to make up for the passing and the actions. Okay, that's true, but they still need a point guard who can get in the paint and initiate. I want to check their drives numbers out. I'll probably do that for tomorrow's podcast in some way because I bet that's a number that looks way different or worse than last year. But that's the other part of it is guys are just playing completely different roles than they're typically used to or than they've been trained to do, even for this Pacers team. So even on a team that's action to action where specific roles are more important on defense than offense, it's still different. It's still, even if it's just a beat, like you have to think for a second to know what you should do and you don't want to be thinking at all. And like Ben Shepard said today, like, yeah, it was better when he wasn't thinking. He was very good today. If you think for a beat, you throw off a lot of rhythm and it just looks worse. So I might not be, and I think a lot of you listening are going to be like, duh, you idiot. But I think I might not be giving quite enough to the injuries just being like 90% of the reason that they're playing very poorly. And, there's a critical mass of it being all at one position where their only healthy point guard is Ray J. Dennis. And last year they dealt with that at center and they had to make moves at center. And this year they already had to cut James Wiseman to get another guard in the door. And then today they lose Quentin Jackson. So here's something people ask me. I think Ray J. Dennis's back thing is like actually a problem. Not like a problem like, he might miss time, but he played 5 minutes in this game. I can see him during the game. Like during timeouts, he's running around a lot. He's got a big, huge brace on, the one that Haliburton wore at times last year, and everybody's freaking out about his back. I think his back is like a problem, and it's actually impacting his play, and he can't make a shot at all. He only played 5 minutes today. That's my actual suspicion on why he's not playing more, is that he's hurt a little bit. Now, part of it today also was Ben Shepard played the 1, and Ben Shepard was good. We'll talk about him in the third segment. Ben Shepard got in the paint. They won his minutes by 5. He almost had a career high in points. That has not been the whole season of Ben Shepard, obviously, but he was decent in this game, right? They need more of that. But then Taylor Peter plays the 1. Like, they're not even turning to their only healthy point guard after Rick Carlisle said post-game, like, yeah, they don't have point guards. That speaks to, I think, the health of Ray J. Dennis. And speaking of health and injuries, that's their team, right? 8 guys down going into this game. They have 2 extra guys on the team because of that. So hardship rules are very confusing. You have to have 4 guys out to get 1, and then another guy goes out and you can add another player. And lo and behold, Obi Toppin actually made them qualify for another one, and they lost 2 more players. They needed another 10-day, and Cody Martin is the winner. Cody Martin signing with the Pacers on a 10-day hardship the morning before the game. Interesting choice. He's a good player. Like they won his minutes. He had 4 boards. Like he had some like aggression and toughness and just some like pop and oomph that, a team that's 1-7 can use. Like I'm not opposed to Cody Martin being on the Pacers. I actually was stunned Cody Martin was not on a team when the season started. He did confirm, by the way, he was in the workout in Dallas where Mac McClung made the team. And I do think they need wing depth, right? Like natural wings, whatever you call Siakam, think about it in your head. Is he a 4-5? Is he a wing? Whatever you want to say. Jarris Walker can be a 3. Aaron Nesmith is definitely a 3. That's kind of it, right? Ben Shepard, I call him a wing, but he's been playing more guard and is more guard. And everyone else on their team is either very obviously a guard or a center. So yes, Pascal can play like perimeter. He's wingy, but like they definitely still do need wing depth. Cody Martin and Jeremiah Robinson are all combined for 30 minutes in this game, right? It's not crazy to me they added a wing. Cody Martin's good. I don't need to explain it. Like he can kind of rebound. He can kind of score. He plays within himself pretty well. He had a gorgeous steal for his basket in this game. But someone asked me this via Twitter, Rooster, shout out. And I thought of it like before the signing, like Could it have been a point guard? Should it have been a point guard? They have another guard and Mac McClung on their team. Getting a lot of questions about him, by the way. His contract is fully non-guaranteed. Like, I don't think there's any promise that Mac McClung should be playing, although they might need different guards to play if Ray J. Dennis is hurt. So I think a point guard does make good sense if they, get another hardship, which they might. Depend. Furphy and Quentin Jackson seem like they're going to be out for a bit. I don't know if two-way guys count towards the hardship counter. Maybe they could try McClung. I don't know, but I'm not saying Cody Martin's a bad choice. I do think they need wings as well, but they're just so low on point guards there. Everybody's playing a different role and out of position, and you can't get your ecosystem back when that's the case. The toothpaste is fully out of the tube. They're going to have to win with what they have. You could tell for a lot of this game, they were trying to make sure one of Siakam or Nesmith was always on the floor, and then, foul trouble happens. Siakam ends with 5, so they have to kind of abandon that for a bit. Lloyd Pierce is coaching. I don't know how different his philosophies are. Rick got ejected for a weird moment where it looked like the Pacers were about to get the ball, and then the Nets did, and they got free points. Like, it all just little stuff like this and injuries, and it's all holding them back. And they're 1-7 with still tough games inside. They're really hard first 10, which was one of my 3 highlighted stretches of their season, is about to end. After that, they have Utah, Phoenix, Toronto, Detroit, Charlotte. Cleveland's very tough. Detroit, Toronto, Washington, Chicago, who's actually pretty good, to end the month. End of November, for those of you who want to know the Pacers' direction this season. Let's see how injured they still are, but let's talk at the end of November. Right now, they're hurt, and their record's bad. There were some bright spots in this game. Almost career highs for lots of guys. Jay Huff, welcome to the Pacers. This is what people thought you could be. We'll talk about that and if they could be things that stick or matter if they stick to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, we got to talk about FanDuel. The NBA is back. Hoops every night. I love it. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. They're the official sports betting partner of the NBA, even if you miss the start of a game or you just want to ride the hot hand. Well, FanDuel is the place for that. They let you have live bets that you can hop in on for anything from who's going to score the next basket to fourth quarter comebacks, of which the Pacers have many, almost another one tonight. And plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up today, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day or second listen. Locked On NBA Game Night every Wednesday night. Wes Goldberg and I record, talk about every game from the night before. You can hear it every Thursday morning. Right after this, I'll hop over with him and talk about the Mavs losing to the Pelicans somehow. Wemby is playing the Lakers. That's always a hoot. The Cavs played in their gorgeous uniforms. Cade Cunningham was balling in the fourth quarter. There's always a lot going on these NBA Thursdays. Okay, there was, in fact, in a loss to the Nets at home, in fact, some bright spots for the Pacers. In terms of importance, I would say the top 2 were Ben Shepherd and Jay Huff. In terms of pop compared to expectations, the answer is Jeremiah Robinson Earl just like gobbling up every rebound. I'll start with Shepherd. Shepherd made threes. That's obviously a big deal. He was 3 for 7 from deep in this game. I mean, it's hard to tell with his shot. So here's what I was internalizing with his jumper is I can't remember if it was Atlanta or Golden State. It was a home game for sure. He missed 3 or 4 from the same corner, and they were all left, every single one. And I always wonder, Jay Huff, same thing. I thought about this with him, albeit to a different extent. He was at least making some this season. Shepard's making like none. He missed all of them the same way, and I thought, man, is this a mechanical thing or a mental thing? Because if you miss one left and one right and one long, whatever, like you're just missing. That's natural. Everybody in the NBA misses a shot sometimes. But if you're missing the same way every time, you're making the same mistake every time, there's a reason for that. You're either overthinking it and not calibrating correctly, or something's wrong mechanically. And then you see Shepherd as a guy who has a very consistent form. And I was like, is he going to be more straight up the next game? How locked into his form is he? Or is this a mental thing? I guess I felt like he was a little more his shot just looks the same every time, a little more upright today, but I think it was a mental thing for him. I think that seeing 3 go in will help him, but we'll see. He's obviously his whole career been very streaky, and everybody knows I'm higher on him than basically the entire fan base, regardless of the jumper, which was important. Again, that he made 3 threes, 4 for 6 on 2s, legitimately his best ever in terms of speed with the ball layup, where he weaved through 3 guys to get all the way to the cup. I saw a tweet comparing him to Sonic the Hedgehog, which I thought was funny. They won his minutes by 5. He had actual get into the paint, gravity in this game. He took 13 shots, and it was like all of them were fine or acceptable. He made some important plays and strides, and you know, we'll see how the shot goes because he's supposed to be a shooter, and he kind of has been like, that his whole career. But if he can actually be a guard who can get into the paint, that's a big deal for his long-term outlook. Like, who knows how much he can do it and how consistently it can be a thing, but you got to make threes to have guys run you off the line. But he is showing a little bit more there, and he has been their best healthy guard of the crew they had tonight at actually getting there. And that's probably why he's still starting at the point guard spot. And unless they sign one or get one another way soon, we'll continue to probably do so. So that was important, I thought, for him, making some nice layups. We all know, again, that his shot comes and goes, but that was big to see. Standout number 2 in a very meaningful and important way. Jay Huff, welcome to what the Pacers thought you could or would be or whatever you want to say. 4 for 9 from deep, made his only 2, which was the fabled and much discussed reverse dunk. Left wing, fakes a 3, puts it on the floor, jumps up from the left block, turns around backwards, kaboom, there it is. Not a huge necessary function, but it looked really cool. He splashed in 4 threes and was like really chucking them. And he's really been working, he said, with Johnny Carpenter on like keeping a shot going and getting confidence there. And like, he hasn't been shy on his 3 this season, but it has not been, at the rate you expect from Jay Huff. 6.2 threes per 36. That's much lower than last year, where it was 9.6, 6.6 the year before with Denver. The other 2 seasons of his career, he played a combined 11 games. I don't really care about those stats. He's like, his volume is down. It needs to be higher, and he only made 17% entering this game. And so when he started to drill him, he kept taking them. 9 threes attempted in this game. He made 4 of them. Obviously, that is above the expectation. It should not be expected that Jay Huff's going to hit 44% of 9 threes every game. 9 threes is his second most in his career. Getting them up is important. I think the rate for him will matter, especially if he can make 3 or 4 out of 9 for the rest of the season on average. We'll see if that's a thing. Plus 2 blocks, like his defense at the rim specifically. When he's moving in space, like even Nick Claxton gave him some trouble in this game. Claxton, 10 free throw attempts. But that was a big night for Huff, where it was finally like, there it is. Like, that's the player that people talked about in the summer as like a guy that's worth trading for, and a guy that in theory can add a spacing dimension at the 5 that the Pacers desperately need against all these clogged lanes and impossible to navigate situations offensively. Like, if they have a real shooting weapon at the 5, that's a big deal. He has 1 game in his career where he took double-digit threes. He sniffed that in this one. Of course, standout number 3, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. I mean, this guy's good, right? Like, he doesn't really put the ball in the basket a ton. He was 3 for 9. He made a 3 in this game. 8 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, bearing the lead. 15 rebounds. 15 rebounds, 7 on the offensive end, nearly equaling the Nets' offensive rebound total by himself. That dude's got a nose for the ball. It's a little Furphy-like. Obviously, 15 is a little high. I would assume per minute, this is the best rebounding game of his career. I've always been like, yeah, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, like, he's okay. He's been, a fine player on the Pelicans and Thunder. Like, yeah, he deserves to be on the fringes of the NBA, I think. But I assumed when he came in the fourth quarter and got a rebound. It was like his 14th. And I was like, surely that's a career high. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I've tracked his whole career with a fine tooth comb, but surely that's the best he's ever done. It's not. This wasn't even a career high. He's had 16 rebounds in a game before. So this is apparently his thing. His 16 rebound game was last year in the Pelicans' last game of the season, game 82. So nobody's playing for either team. He started for the Pelicans and played 33 minutes and 16 seconds and pulled in 16 rebounds with 10 points in that game. In this game, his 15 rebound game, so this won't be his career high, he did it in 23 and a half minutes. If he played 10 more minutes, he certainly would have gotten more rebounds. So his best per minute rebounding game, this guy's a player. I mean, he's not like, shouldn't be playing for the healthy Pacers level player, but certainly somebody you're interested in his services. If you can keep him beyond this 10-day somehow, that's easier said than done. They might not be able to functionally do so. He's not too eligible. They'd have to cut somebody. They have an obvious guy they would cut if they needed to do so. But like, he's interesting to me. He at least has a skill that I get out, could keep him on the floor. And I don't see him being like, oh, this guy's terrible on defense or anything. Maybe he's just too inefficient to ever play serious minutes. Like, his career field goal percentages and stuff are just like, 44% is fine, below average shooter, but real nose for the ball. Actually elevated the team today, like closed again 2 games in a row. And I'm like, yep, that makes sense given how this is going. Look, they have a lot of guys who have to be better. Poor game from Jarris. Isaiah Jackson made some silly plays. Aaron Nesmith couldn't make enough. Their bench didn't give him enough. But the bright spots were nice. And yet, who cares? They're 1-7. They've got to win some games. And if you don't think they need to win some games, that's fine. I understand that. But, like, dude, it's been 8 games. That's super lame and boring. Sports are about winning and fun, and the Pacers want to win and have fun. And they might be able to when they get healthier. We'll see about timelines. We didn't really get any updates on Mathurin or Nembhard, besides that they're progressing and they're doing better than they were doing 2 days ago. And Jackson and Furphy are going to miss this whole road trip and probably more in both cases. Oh, boy. That's probably 8 guys for the Pacers who are going to miss lots of time. Obi Toppin had surgery. Like, it's just a challenge for the Pacers. They'll have to figure out how to navigate it. That's what coaches are for. That's what basketball is all about. We'll see how this road trip goes tomorrow, presumably with a guest. I meant to ask somebody at the game if they were available on Thursday and forgot to. Talking about the Pacers so far, state of the team to this point, what do they need to do better, et cetera, et cetera. And then over the weekend, of course, games on the road in Denver, and then immediately a back-to-back against Golden State, the only team they can beat. They never lose in the Chase Center, right? Right? We'll see. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East. This podcast is on some platforms at Locked On Pacers. You can listen, of course, everywhere and watch on YouTube. Thank you all so much for listening today. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.